Hello and welcome to Paradise Wildlife Park. My name is Aaron and I'm joined by James, who's our head keeper here at Paradise. And behind us we have our two beautiful zebras. So James, can you just tell us a little bit about the species of zebra that we have here at Paradise?
Yeah, so we have a plain zebra here. So we've got a father and son pair, and we have Wilson, who's the one in the front, and we have Mosey, who's the one now closest to us. Now Mosey's his son, and Wilson obviously is the dad. Now this is a little bachelor group of zebras that we now have here at the park. Now out in the wild you would actually get little bachelor groups of zebras. You'll get the main sort of herds and harems of males and females, normally one sort of stallion, and then you'll have a couple of quite a few females with them. Then maybe like juveniles, but then sometimes you'll get groups of sexually mature males that form bachelor groups. So I say behind us, right behind us here, we have Mosey. He's our youngest. He was actually the first ever baby zebra that was born here at the park. And Wilson here came to us back in 2010 and was paired up with our female that we had then. It was called Dusty, and Dusty was a lot older than Wilson, so Wilson was a bit of a toy boy for her. And I say then there was a successful pairing, and then we had our first ever baby zebra, Mosey. You can see now he's got nice and big and strong, and lives here happily with his dad. Now, these are plain zebra. So we have 3 different species of zebra in the world. You have plain zebra, you have mountain zebra, and you have grevy zebra. Now, the plain zebra species here that we have, they're actually near threatened in the wild, so their numbers are slowly decreasing. They actually moved to near threatened only a couple of years back. So unfortunately their numbers have actually started to decrease more and more in the wild, and the other 2 species of zebras as well, their numbers are also coming under threat, and numbers are reducing. Now the problems with this, the reason why this can be due to hunting. Obviously zebras have a very unique pattern that obviously is well known to everyone, so you do have people that try to hunt the zebras for their skin. You have some tribes that actually used to use zebra tails as ways of command and bits like that, actually over in Africa. Not so much anymore, but you still obviously people using their skin. Also, another problem that has for zebras is actually competition of domestic livestock. There's a lot of farming going on in Africa, and as the farmers are actually grazing their domestic livestock out on the savannas that the zebras would inhabit, you can get domestic diseases that obviously farmers are treating their livestock for, but then unfortunately the zebras, if they was to pick it up, no one's actually treating the wild zebras out there. It's not that easy to actually treat a lot of wild zebras out in the wild, and as I say, it can be various different diseases. But obviously they're black and white stripes that everybody knows of a zebra for. A lot of people always ask, are they black with white stripes or white with black stripes? Now, zebras actually have a black skin, and then they have black and white stripes on top of that. And you can actually see with Mosey, who's over the back there, he's just having a quick drink. He is actually a bit more brown in colour. And the reason why he's a bit more brown in colour is actually due to the fact that he's been rolling around in the sand a bit more. He likes to get himself messy and actually just have a good roll around in the sandy paddock that we have, whereas Dad at the back there likes to keep himself a bit more clean and tidy, and a bit neater normally for all the public that come and see him. A lot of people normally ask us as well, how can you tell the difference between the zebras? Now actually no 2 zebras are exactly the same. Every zebra in the world has different markings. Each zebra's stripes are unique to the individual zebras, so they're a bit like a human's fingerprint. So yeah, exactly, no 2 zebras are the same. And there's a few differences that you'll actually see here on our zebras. So when we're back open again after this coronavirus, make sure you come and spend some time with the zebras and see if you can actually identify the differences between them yourselves. Now a few of them differences is actually if you look at Wilson, who's over the back there, standing nice and proud. He actually has very bold black stripes, and then he has grey sort of stripes in between them on his white ones. Now Mosey still has the same, but they're not actually as bold as Wilson over the back there. Now a lot of people always also ask, why do zebras have black and white stripes? Now obviously it's believed for camouflage purposes, so as the zebras all huddled together, it makes it very hard to actually pick out an individual. But actually recent research has actually found out that actually the black and white stripes actually confuse insects, biting insects, which will actually try to land on zebras, but they can't actually pinpoint exactly where the zebras is with the black and white stripes, so they actually confuse them and don't land on them. And they've done research over in America and also in the UK on this with actually domestic horses and zebras, and actually seeing that almost in the same area that the horses have been more covered by biting insects than the zebras. So the key to that is when we go out and we all get bit by mosquitoes is actually wear black and white stripy clothing. We can all look like a zebra. It's fantastic. But you can say, so yeah, it really actually helps them to deflect the insects. Also, other thoughts in that as well is it's actually to help radiate the heat as well in the African savannah. Obviously, the white would actually reflect the heat, while the black would bring the heat, attract the heat, so it actually controls their body temperature in the hot, sunny African savannas as well. Now they're strict herbivores, so as I say, these guys come from Africa. They live in the grassy savannas. They eat a lot, mostly grasses, but they will eat bits of plant matter and bits of leaves as well. So here at Paradise Wildlife Park, they obviously have their grass paddocks at the back, and then they have a decent supply of hay constantly throughout the day, like Mosey's just coming to tuck into here. And they also get 2 feeds a day, which helps us just give them, it's a cereal-based feed that gives them all the nutrients that they need. And you may have seen just at the beginning of the video, they were actually playing with some balls as well. These are some boomer balls that we give them, some snack balls. So they had actually some of the pellet in there. Now these were actually kindly brought for us by some of our members of the public who actually purchased them through our Amazon wish list. So if anybody would be interested in helping us with some of the tools and enrichment items that we can use here at the park to make sure the animals are getting the best welfare that we possibly can give them, please check out our Amazon wish list. And if anyone wants to purchase anything, there's big and small things. It's greatly appreciated, not just by us keepers, but as you saw by the zebras, they love playing with them as well. So yeah, check out them links as well for us because they're great to use on all different animals. We've got the boomer, like the snack balls that we use for the zebras. We've got things that we use on the big cats and the meerkats as well. So it's fantastic.
James, can you just talk a little bit about how we manage the zebras here at Paradise? Obviously, in their habitat, they've got 3 different areas. Can you just explain why the enclosure is broken down into 3 separate spaces, and the kind of reasons as to why we have a concreted area as opposed to obviously all grass and things like that?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we have, as Aaron said, 3 different areas. We have a concrete hard stand, we have a big sandy paddock, and then we have the grass paddocks at the back there. Now, it would be lovely to have all grass, but actually, different times of year, the grass can cause issues if they have too much grass. Zebras can get a lot of common diseases and stuff like that horses can get. So you do have to be careful of overgrazing and have to be careful of weight gain and issues that can come with that as well. So we actually manage the grass here. Also, they have this big hard stand that they're on here as well. This is actually to help them with their hooves because obviously, as we know, especially the winter that we've just had, it's been a very wet winter, and unfortunately paddocks can get a bit boggy, especially grass paddocks, so it can turn into real muddy areas. They can actually be dangerous to the zebras when they start running around, so they have the bigger hard stand areas where we can feed them on to keep them off the wet areas. To help their hooves, and also we can actually, as I say, we do put their food on these concrete areas as well. This actually helps them to, if we feed them out on the sandy paddock, if they get too much sand up, if they eat too much sand whilst they're eating their concentrate pellet, this can actually be problems with cause problems with the teeth as well in the future. So that's why we have a mixture of all 3. We can vary it between them, or where we have them, what we do out there, and we can put different enrichments in different areas as well. Then they do have their stable at the back there, which they've just had it cleaned today, so that's why it's just all closed up whilst it dries out. But then they have access to that, to a nice wood shavings bed they can keep themselves comfy on. When we do come open again and you come and visit us, they like to spend a lot of time in the evening in there. So when you walk around as we come up to closing times, peer your head into it through the windows nice and quietly, you might start finding a zebra laying down in that bed. It's a very, very neat and tidy bed.
Can you just give anyone who's watching just a bit of a size comparison between horses and zebras, where compared to obviously you see your giant big species of horses as opposed to obviously your little ponies at times as well? Where amongst would these guys rank in terms of size?
They're probably more, obviously you do have some smaller ponies and small horses, which obviously these guys are a lot bigger than. But yeah, compared to your big Shire horses, nowhere near as big as them. So they're more like in the middle between your horses, and more to the lower end of, like, bottom end of the middle. As you see them here, the two boys here, they're weighing around about 300, even up to 350 if they're having a big belly, but we keep them around about 320 kilos in body weight, and that just keeps them nice and lean, as you see in here. And actually, this is sort of a natural shape for the zebras. Sometimes you do find zebras in captivity. There's different species of zebra that are a bit bigger, and variation in different shapes and sizes as well, due to on their necks they have things like dewlaps, extra saggy bits of skin, where these guys are quite neat and tidy in their body shape. But yeah, they're just probably less than between small and medium size in your sort of pony area. And a lot of people always think they're more, obviously they are an equine, they are related to horses, but you're actually more closely related to a donkey than a horse with the zebras. So sometimes if you're here early in the mornings, you might actually hear them calling, and they do sound a little bit like a donkey. So yeah, always keep your ears peeled for that when you come through. They can be quite stubborn as well, like donkeys can, which can be fun, and sometimes when they get a little bit of character, but also it can be a pain when you're trying to move them around and they just stand right in front of you and wanting the food to come to them. But zebras also, we do train the zebras here, so they are target trained, so we can actually move the zebras around a lot easier just by them following targets, and hopefully to give them injection training as we go forward. And also they actually are, they do know certain commands. So if we ask them, if they're on the hard stand, we ask them to go out onto the paddock. From the outside, we can just say, out you go, and they'll take themselves onto the sand paddock where we are now, and nice and calmly. So they're quite well behaved, R2, when they want to be.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, James. Thank you very much for all of the info. Obviously, one thing that really helps us here at Paradise, and obviously the work we're doing for animals, not just here at the wildlife park itself, but also from a conservation perspective, where we're working with different projects around the world, is obviously about raising awareness. So if you could share this video and help us to raise awareness about this amazing species, then obviously we'd really appreciate it. In the meantime, we do hope that everyone is staying home and staying safe during this coronavirus pandemic, and of course we do hope that the pandemic isn't affecting you too badly at home. Obviously, despite the pandemic taking place, we're still coming in because we're key workers. We need to take care of the animals that we have here at the park. But obviously, one real kind of problem for the wildlife park is that obviously we don't have any income at the moment, even though it's costing us thousands of pounds to take care of the animals every day. So if anyone is willing to help us in any way, then please visit our Just Giving page, go to Just Giving and then Animal Support Fund, or go to our website pwpark.com to make any form of donation. Obviously, it'd be really, really appreciated. In the meantime, we look forward to welcoming you back to Paradise when obviously the pandemic is over. But of course, please stay home and stay safe. Take care, everyone.
Okay, guys.